Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers that are out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spinning power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, I just want to do just want to do a lesson, fairly a quick one on this man, okay, and his name is Dennis Meadows, right? And we're gonna read up a bit more on him, but before we get into it, I just wanna bring out this video first, and Lord willing, this be edifying. You know what? Let me bring precept. This is Proverbs chapter 6, starting from verse 16. It says, "These 6 things doth the Lord Yahweh hate." It says, "Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look," okay, which is Esau Edom; a lying tongue, which is Esau Edom. All right, we're gonna find out that they are slick-tongued devils. Okay, a hand that shed innocent blood. We're gonna find out that everything that he's saying, he uses what's the word that I'm like benign terms and words, but he is advocating for the extermination of the majority of the populace or of the population, right? So that is what hands that shed innocent blood. These men, well, they lay in bed, they wake up, they say, "Oh, I got a bright idea." What is it? Oh, it's pretty much how we can fuck people over. That's Esau Edom, okay? And they do so in lying tongues. He's written a book, which you have a lot of these scholars esteem this book as something, some fucking ultimate book that everybody must read and agree with and have an open mindset. But this man is advocating for the death of billions of people, okay? There's one man. He's not God, okay? He's not above any other man, but he's proud enough to take it upon himself to decide that the solution to the world's problem is the extermination of people, okay? So this is a proud look that he's proud enough to take it upon himself. A lying tongue, he lies and deceives the people into going along with his plan. A proud, which is what enhanced that shed innocent blood. So he has the means to do these things, okay? It says, "And a heart that devises what wicked imagination," and that is Esau Edom all day. He hangs around with the Rothschilds. He's part of the World Economic Forums. He's all these organizations, these non-governmental organizations, these lobbyists, okay, who are not, they don't occupy any official positions in government, but they do control it. Okay, so the hands that divide a heart that devises wicked imaginations. Okay, so they have the thought. It's feet that be swift to run mischief. So and as long as as soon as they come up with plans, they're ready to put their resources, their monies, and their people and their scholars onto achieving that goal. They don't even spend a lot. They don't spend as much time as you would think when it comes to when it comes to deciding to kill a whole bunch of people. They don't. They just straight away want to do it. When it comes to taking control of the food system so that they may coerce people into doing their bidding, into taking the RFID chip, for example, they straight away they do it. Okay? They are very, very swift. As is a false witness that speaketh lie. We're going to find out that they manipulate statistics. They always talk about, "I believe this and that. We predict this and that." But they never actually look at real world. Their plans for the future is never modeled after the real world. It's always a fucking simulation. And he that soweth discord among his brethren, Esau Edom. Okay, there's a bit more on that, but just not. This is Proverbs chapter 12, verse 2. It says, a good man obtaineth favor of the Lord Yahweh, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. That is why it's always, we can never understand what's wrong with you jakes out here when you're so quick to defend Esau Edom. These people, they do not deserve to exist in the kingdom. If you want true happiness, if you want true peace, these men you cannot vibe with these people, okay? They not even as slaves, not even as serfs. After they receive their judgment, these nations will receive they will give them a portion of land, a country, but nevertheless they still report to us. We will rule over them, and it will bring our. But these men, even if they are to be in a low position, they cannot. They are not welcome. They are naturally wicked, and that's why the Most High has condemned every single one of them. See, we dig up these little tiny pieces of information, but it's small in comparison to the actual knowledge that the Most High has about these devils. It's very, very small, when you consider the fact that the scripture talks about the Most High's eyes being 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding every iniquity. It's so small when you consider that the Most High, he sees things in the background. Celebrities don't have to come and these celebrities will come and tell us, "Oh, we down with the devil, we sold our soul." The Most High been known that, and then they're now telling us now. But for all the time, or the decades before, when television was invented, when they were making movies and all these things, they were doing it, and the Most High knew about it back then. And the Most High knows how far into or how much they've upgraded in their wickedness, in their witchcraft. All right? But, all right, let's get into it. Fucking devils.
I don't expect that we're going to avoid collapse. I'm not sure what it will look like. I mean, and so I simply don't know. I had many different scenarios, but actually we don't know. It's not knowable. I mean, some huge volcano could blow up tomorrow in Indonesia, which reduces the agricultural output of the planet by 40 or 50% for 5 years. How do we know that could happen? It has happened several times in the past. So usually speaking, something which happened in the past could happen again, generally. So that could happen, or epidemics. I mean, I don't know what it will be, but in one way or another, we are so far globally. We are so far above the population and the consumption levels which can be supported by this planet that I know in one way or another it's going to come back down. So I don't hope to avoid that. I hope that it can occur in a civil way, and I mean civil in a...
He hopes to accomplish the decrease in population in a civil way, okay? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? They're fork-tongued devils. Now you know why he was able to deceive Eve. He was able to sneak in there and throw all these slick-ass words in, and deceive the woman. Another reason why our women, the Israelite women, is always when it comes to wickedness, right? The ultimate heathenistic, wicked people, it's Esau, and then it's the Israelite woman, particularly the Judite woman.
In a special way, peaceful. Peace doesn't mean that everybody's happy, but it means that conflict isn't solved through violence.
What? That's... we're going to keep going. So now he redefines a word. He uses a word Okay? We all know peace brings happiness. That's why we seek it. Everything we do is for the sake of peace. But he want to redefine it and then make his whole point seem reasonable. And then when he's speaking, he expects you to nod, well, like the interviewer is doing. Nod, okay, I have questions here and this and that. And that's what he does. We're speaking his language. This is English, a bastard language,
through force, but rather in other ways. And so that's what I hope for. That we can, the planet can support something like 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And conversely, you can have more people. We could even have 8 or 9 billion probably if we have a very strong dictatorship, which is smart. Unfortunately, you never have smart dictatorships. They're always stupid. But if you had a smart dictatorship and a low standard of living, you can have it. But we want to have freedom and we want to have a high sentence, so we're going to have 1 billion people. And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal, so that people share the experience and you don't have a few rich, trying to force everybody else to deal with it. So those are my hopes. These are pretty pessimistic hopes, but that's what lies ahead.
And within that hope, do we need a revolution to come to peace? And if we need a revolution, what kind of revolution do we need?
So a key issue here is the speed of the decline. We hope for a slow decline because that gives you time to adjust. If we had a volcano explosion, that's rapid. Suddenly, overnight, agricultural production went down by 40 or 50%, just like that. The globe can't peacefully adjust to such a shift like that. Depletion of cheap energy is a slow process. There'll still be oil 100 years from now, but it'll be much more expensive. We have a chance to adjust to that in a more or less peaceful way. So a key question is, what is the force that we're trying to adjust to? And if we know the speed, then that tells us something about the kind of revolution we need. Of course, it comes to question, what do you mean by revolution? Do you mean, revolution generally means a drastic shift in structure. So there's political revolutions. You shift from a king to a communist dictatorship, as happened in Russia back in 1920. That was a revolution. Or there are psychological revolutions. One guy came up to me this morning and said, I just quit smoking. And and he's very excited about that, which he should be. That's for him a revolution. So it's a question, what kind of revolutions are you mean? Well, we need them at both levels. We need personal revolutions. We need people to reimagine a lifestyle which requires much less energy and material. You even can do that, in a place like the Netherlands. Actually, the Netherlands is a great example of efficiency. Compared with the Americans, the typical city liver and person who lives in the city in Netherlands uses much less energy and materials than the typical person living in a city in the United States. But you could do much better at the personal level, and then at the national level and the international level, you need these other kind of revolutions. I mean, it will be a big revolution to bring companies and governments to really give importance to the long term. That would be a revolution. In some ways, it would be quite simple. I mean, there are easy things to do and hard things to do. I'll give you just an example. An easy thing to do. Now, at least in the United States, we reward senior executives by the price of the stock in the company. Even every quarter or every year, or when they leave the company, they are rewarded according to the price of the stock, which gives them very bad incentives because they reduce expenditures on research, for example, in order to increase, or they fire a lot of people in order to reduce their costs, because that gives a short-term profit. But we could easily say, we will reward you by the value of our stock 5 years after you go. So you have to do, before you leave, you have to make sure that you left the company in a situation so that 5 years from now it's going to be successful. See, that doesn't require new national law. It doesn't require a new consciousness. It's quite a simple administrative change. You could do that, but it would be revolutionary in what it would cause, the incentives it would cause. And then at the other extreme, you have, some problems like to deal with complexity, you split things up into specialties. So in your parliament, you have the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Energy, Ministry of Transport, etc. We all know that a decision made in one ministry has enormous consequences for the other ministries. By and large, this person makes those decisions without asking those people. And rather they should do it together, but it's hard to do it together if you under the current circumstances. So that would be a real revolution to start getting it so that a minister of, let's say, agriculture would do something which actually makes the farming situation seem worse in the short term, but means 5 years from now you have less energy requirement or less environmental damage or something like that. That would be a hard revolution. We need all of those kinds of things.
All right. So that's just bullshit that was going on, and especially, let me put it in reader format. What I found. All right, this is the part right here. So, well, first let's introduce this devil. So his name is Dennis Meadows, and he is one of the main authors of the Club of Rome's The Limit to Growth, and that's the name of the book. Everything that he's talking about, he wrote a book about it, and it says he is an honorable member of the Club of Rome and a member of the World Economic Forum. Now, the Club of Rome, just a bunch of devils, man. You know, they're trying to reshape the world. They're all into the New World Order, and pretty much anything that you can think about when you think of Esau's wickedness. These are these are some of the how do I put it, like the group or the frat that they create, and then they invite, or they create an organization. These are the organizations that they create, and then they pull their resources together through this organization, and then they send people out. They send they'll send scholars or activists over here, like George Soros did with his Open Society. He creates an organization, he puts his resources into it, and then he hires students, liberal students, activists, and he sends them out into the world, He gives them money. He says, I'll pay for you, I'll pay anything. Just go out and convince people to be gay. Go out and convince people to be transformers and the L's and all these things. And that's what they do around the world. And that's why that agenda, that sodomy, that sodomy mindset is spreading out through the world. The famous what's it called? The famous meme on social media, the short video about the Ugandan news presenter, he was like, we bring you this day with Mr. Should I call you Mr.? You know, that dude. And then this is the kind of people that George Soros sends out there, you know, to campaign, okay, this wicked agenda. And so organizations like the Club of Rome or the Economic Forum or the IMF or the World Bank, they work like that. Okay, it's just a bunch of powerful people around the world pulling their resources together, okay, in order to control the world, or to skew the world, right, in a direction that they want. So he says he is an honorable member of the Club of Rome and a member of the World Economic Forum. It says, if you thought that his ideology had softened and become less anti-human since the publishing of his book, you would be wrong. All right. And see. And so they talked about the video, and that's the video we just watched. So continuing, it says as will become apparent at the end of this article, it is no coincidence that Meadows' words echo the words in the 1995 Global Biodiversity Assessment first presented at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, right, which stated an agricultural world in which it says an agriculture. So he's been campaigning this since 1995. Okay, it says an agricultural world was since before 1995. Let me stop interrupt. It says an agricultural world in which most human beings are peasants should be able to support 5 to 7 billion people. In contrast, a reasonable estimate for an industrialized world society at the present North American material standard of living would be 1 billion. So they're saying if everyone was to live as Americans do, the world will need 1 billion people. And so if the world wants a high standard of living like Americans do, then we will have to cut down the population, because they know that people are not trying to live under a dictatorship, you know. And this is the lie that they're pushing forth, because one, these people actually do want a dictatorship world. They do want a ruling class, and then they want they want a subject, okay, poor peasants underneath them, okay, who sees them as gods, and they can do with however they please. And I brought a book. I did a video on a book called The Naked Capitalist, and I believe I titled I forgot the title that I put on it, but I'll put the link in this subscription if I can. But probably if it's not there, they have like a strike on my channel. It's easing up as time goes on, but for the moment, I don't have the privilege of posting links and you know, in my description. All right, so if you're reading this and you can't find it, that's probably why. So you know, something about a video that they strike 3 years ago. I don't know why they keep doing that, but yeah, well, we know why they keep doing that. So it says, in contrast, a reasonable estimate for we already read that. It says what the advocates of this ideology seem to omit mentioning is that according to Worldometer, the population of the world is currently over 8 billion, which doesn't stack up with their fear-mongering prediction. That's right. Everything that they've been predicting, that's you need to believe us and do this and follow us, they're predicting, and the opposite of that is happening, and the world is just fine. Okay? They keep pushing. Oh, you gotta give people freedom, and we gotta encourage people to be transformers. But then what happens? A law have been passed to protect these people and fundings. Okay, so your tax money is actually going into what? Into paying for these people to chop up their nutsack. Okay. But what happens after they go through all these things and they feel unfulfilled? Okay, they feel as though they did all these things for nothing, and they kill themselves. The suicidal rate of these transformers is through the roof, man. It's much more than it's probably more than what? Than the soldiers, okay, than those in the military. And I would dare say that it's probably definitely more. It says, probably, right? It says there's a good reason they avoid real world scenarios because their models are a sleight of hand. They manipulate the data, okay? While many are now familiar with the manipulation of predictive modeling by Neil Ferguson during the I'm not gonna say that word. During this crisis, a network of powerful Malthusians have used the same tactics for the better part of the last century to sell and impose the agenda. And brothers, if you can, let me see if I can find a video right now so you can really look that up. It's if you go on YouTube, you can search up how statistics are manipulated. I don't know if I can. Right, the video is titled, "This is how easy it is to lie with statistics," okay? So, if you watch the video, and it's very, very informative, okay? People just, the stories that they tell you with statistics, if you just look at it from a different angle, you can use that same data and use a different sentence for that data. For example, okay? This is statistics which draws a correlation between students with bad grades and students who smoke. So they'll come around and they say students who smoke get bad grades. So that's when they look at that statistics, they'll say, okay, well, it seems as though students who smoke get bad grades. But you can easily use another sentence and say that it is because students have bad grades that they smoke. You see what I'm saying? You see how somebody can manipulate statistics? And that's how they do with data. If you're not very smart in examining their words and actually sitting down, right? Sitting down and thinking about all the possible ways that statement could be manipulated or could be misinterpreted, then you fall victim to their what? To their slick tongue, to their slickness. Probably just making up words here, but brothers know what I mean. So it says, right, they manipulate data. They manipulate the data, while many are not familiar with the manipulation. So it says Malthusians, okay, and if we look at this guy, he's an actual guy who started this whole rhetoric of the world population and famine and all these things. It says Malthusianism is a theory that population growth is potentially exponential, right? According to the Malthusian growth model, while the growth of food supply and other resources is linear, which eventually reduces a living standard to the point of triggering a population decline. This event, called a Malthusian catastrophe, occurs when population growth outpaces agricultural production, causing famine or war, resulting in poverty and depopulation. This is the narrative that they're pushing. But of course, the humans, right? There's so many variables in life that you can't just simply predict, that the humans are gonna run out of food. Okay? I don't give a damn what kind of fucking computer you use. Okay? You do not have. People give so much respect to these fucking Edomites, but you gotta see them for who they really are, man. And when you pray that the Most High brings judgment speedily upon these people, because the longer these people reign, the worse things are gonna get. They do nothing but sit down and think of the most brutal ways to destroy people. And in their mind, they're being merciful. Like what the scripture says it, the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. It begins by saying a righteous man regardeth the life of his beast. So the righteous man, he's so kind and merciful to the point where it extends to his beast, an animal whose So a person's life takes precedence over an animal, but a righteous man is so gracious that his righteousness extends towards his beast, whereas a wicked person, when he's being merciful, when he's truly being merciful, that is cruel, and this is pretty much what we've seen here. So it says Malthusians are the disciples of Thomas Malthus. Malthus promoted the mathematical thesis that population levels will always tend towards geometric growth, while agricultural resources tend to arithmetic growth, resulting in relatively forecastable crisis points. Malthus believed that social engineers representing the British Empire must use these crisis points to scientifically manage the human herd, and he sounds like a student of John Ruckus. They always take upon themselves, the British people, man, the fucking Europeans, they always take it upon themselves to decide the fate of the world. They're always using words like call. Call is used for what? Calling a herd. If you have too many animals, too many pigs or cows, you call them. And they use that word for humans as though humans are cattle. It says Malthus believed that nature bestowed upon the ruling class certain tools that would allow them to accomplish this important task, namely war, famine, and disease. So their plan is that they actually start to change the world during the time of war, famine, and disease. That's why we told you that they were planning, or they did something very important during the 2019, when we were all indoors and the sickness came in. They planned something. The war that's going on, they planned something. There's something. Whenever there's a major crisis, it's because they're planning something or they're doing something. So it says nature bestowed upon the ruling class certain tools that would allow them to accomplish the important task. So through war, famine, and disease, right? Now let me jump down to my point here. Oh, Salakia. It says a 2012 article celebrating the book's 40th anniversary stated it is worth revisiting limits to growth today because more than any other book, it introduces the concept of what anthropocentric climate change to a massive audience, which just means human caused climate change to mass audience. So basically, what makes this book unique is that it draws a correlation between human actions and climate change. It's worth revisiting limits to growth for other reasons as well. So one reason is that limits to growth was the first of its kind to fuse global temperatures with economic variables like population growth, yada yada yada. Hold on, it's like it. Oh, so let me jump down. Yeah, this is it. So it says by utilizing linear equations to extrapolate trends into the future, Meadows and his co-authors, one of whom was his wife, that's why the man and the woman, had set the stage for two major fallacies. And a fallacy is a mistaken belief. Okay? Oh. So they use abstract thinking. They all the plans that they have is never actually based on real life. It's always a simulation or linear equations. So it says by utilizing linear equation statistics, okay, they have set the stage for two major fallacies, so two major falsehoodness, and two of them, and they're gonna explain that. It says the fabric of physical space-time shaping the discoverable universe is intrinsically non-linear and thus not expressible by any forms of linear equations, regardless of computing power involved. Human creative mentation. Let's look that up. Mental capacity. So human creative mental capacities is most explicitly non-linear. That's right. You know, you can't predict human life with equations, as it is tied to formalizable states of existence like inspiration, love of truth, dignity, and beauty, which no binary systems can approximate, right? Humans are very complex creatures, okay? And which proves the magnificence of the works of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. No man can set bounds on the wisdom and the knowledge and the magnificence of the works of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Man, being a creation of the Most High, is like that. It's one of these things. As a matter of fact, in the book of Jeremiah, let's get it right now. There's a reason he made man, okay, the dominion of the earth. So Jeremiah chapter 10, starting from verse 12, it says what? He has made, he being the Most High, Yahweh has made the earth by his power. Okay, well, Yahweh Shai and the angels, but the credit goes to the Most High, has made the earth, right, by his power, and he has established the world by his wisdom and stretched out the heavens by his what? By his discretion. The earth is big, huge, and abundant. It can provide for everyone. All right? The Most High was not an idiot. The scripture, yo, is the Club of Rome programmers ignore these facts and assume the universe was as binary as the software, right? A software is predictable. All right? You're not counting numbers, man. These are humans. When you consider their inspiration, their love of truth, their dignity, their beauty, when you consider all these things, your equations fail miserably. All right. So that's one of the major fallacies. I mean what am I trying to? They've counted one fallacy. Is pretty much what I meant to say. So this is the data sets themselves. The data sets themselves could easily be skewed and reframed according to the controllers of the computer programmers who aspire to shape government policy. That's right. And a lot of these scholars, they do that. All right. Whenever they want a bill passed that benefits them or anything like that, they would send a scientist out there, and then they'll come up with data, and then they'll say, okay, well then how do I use this to accomplish, or how do I use this to deceive the lawmakers and get what I want? And they would reframe the data, okay, and they will shape it to how they want it to shape, and it's as simple as that. You come up here and you tell me, oh, I figured out a way and software. Who gives a fuck about your software, man? I haven't seen anything. You just come up here and tell me your software, I'm supposed to believe you. We have already seen how this technique was used to drive fallacious results of future scenarios under the hand of Imperial colleagues Neil Ferguson, and the same technique has been applied in ecological modeling as well. You know, just like there's actually when they were talking about the Earth being destroyed or being incapable of sustaining itself, there are accounts of forest reviving on its own without any human intervention. They thought they had deforested, you know. They thought, oh man, this place will never come back. We got to intervene, and the forest just, you know, they grow back. If we abandon the cities today, the forest will find its way to grow back. And so, what I'm trying to say is that the destiny of the world is not in the hands of Esau Edom. He's a fucking devil, you know. Hey, hell is moved to meet thee at thy coming. You belong in them fields, okay, and you belong nowhere else after that. So with that, I'm gonna end it right there. To the brothers that are watching, I would say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Shah Brakatham. To the few Aquafs that are also listening in truth and sincerity, I also want to say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Shah Brakatham. May the blessing of Leshon be upon our house, and may the spirit of wisdom and understanding of Yahweh Bashim Shah be in our hearts, right? So that we may be able to discern the words of these devils, right? So as to not be easily swayed, to their madness. So I'm going to end right there. Shalom.